The dark side of guardianship. When guardianship goes wrong. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, what am I talking about today? I've never talked about this subject before, but I was reading an article in social media about when guardianship goes wrong, very, very wrong. And so it piqued my interest. And so someone made a suggestion about a movie, and I think the movie was called I Care a Lot, and I believe it's on Netflix. And I haven't watched the movie, but I watched the trailer, and oh my goodness, it scared me so much just to watch the trailer. It's a very suspenseful movie about when guardianship is taken over by unethical people and how it can go wrong. Now, guardianship is where someone takes control over another person's life, essentially. I think that there's different levels of guardianship. It can be financial, but it can also essentially be in every aspect of that person's life. And often it's because, for one reason or another, that person is unable or may be deemed incompetent at some level, or not fit to handle their own life, or certain things about their life. And so they appoint a guardian. Sometimes it can be a family member, and often it can be somebody who's a stranger. Now, the issue with guardianship is that if someone truly has your best interest at heart, even at that level, they're making decisions for someone else that may be right or may not be. And so I do understand the reasoning behind guardianship, that there are situations that are needed. Maybe someone really, really is incompetent or unable, and they need a right person who is truly invested in them and looking out for them and their well-being. And so that can be a good guardianship until they can get their life together enough on whatever level they need to begin to step back out into their life and handle their own life. We heard a very high-profile movie star or TV star, singer, I think it was, and I think it was a guardianship issue, that someone had guardianship at least over her finances for a number of years. Now, I don't know a lot of details about that particular situation, but then it took them, it took a lot of hard work for them to get back their own legal rights to their own finances, and I believe to many aspects of their life. And so getting guardianship back can be a very challenging and very difficult thing. And for some people, it's almost impossible to get that guardianship back over their life, especially if there's some problems there that maybe they're not used to figuring out the system. And even if they are used to figuring out the system can make it so challenging that, it's just almost near impossible. But it is possible to get your guardianship back. And so I don't know a lot about it. I'm not an expert on it. I just watched this trailer on this movie called I Care a Lot, and it was really, really scary. And I'm hoping to watch the whole movie at some point. And reading in the social media about guardianship gone wrong, where someone supposedly was put into a nursing home against their will, kind of very much like what was in the movie. And someone took over their finances and sold everything that they owned and took the greatest part of the proceeds. And, and reading that social media post, a lot of people were commenting how this is more common than what we think. And so that would be a situation where guardianship has gone wrong. And I think that people can fall through the cracks. Vulnerable people maybe of good financial means, and there are other people that prey upon people like that and somehow find their way to take over. So I think it's very important to be aware that there are situations like that out there, just like the movie implies. And I know it's only a movie, but still, I've read stories about situations like this, especially since I saw the trailer for the movie. I kind of Googled it and started looking up, different situations where that could happen. And I've never covered this subject before because I've never thought about it. But my channel is about covering just about a whole wide array of subjects. I do stay away from politics, and I do stay away from certain topics that are extremely divisive, but I do cover most topics if it's brought to my attention and I think it's a topic that I can research and know a little bit about. And this one, you know, was very scary, you know, when to think that someone's life can be taken over by somebody who doesn't have the best intentions, and someone can take over guardianship of that person, maybe in a vulnerable state, maybe they're, you know, in the hospital, maybe they're sick, maybe they're going through a difficult time, and someone else steps in to take over their life, and it can be very, very challenging to get their rights back. And so, but is there good guardianship? Yes. I don't want to say that all guardianship is bad, because there are times that guardianship is needed, that somebody is unable to handle their own life, and maybe, you know, the things that are going on in their life is they're going downhill faster and faster and faster, and they need someone who cares about them to step in. But the whole thing comes down to someone who cares about them, that has their best interest at heart, that's going to make great decisions for them in the meantime until they can get their life together. You know, I don't think most people want to be a guardian because it entails a lot of work. And if they're an honest guardian, they're not into it for the money or anything else. But if they're a dishonest guardian, they have control over that person's finances over many aspects. So it can be very frightening. So it's very, very important that guardianship be looked at as an individual situation and not just flossed over, you know, in the system that just flosses over and grants guardianship to somebody, a stranger, to that person who takes over their life and sells everything and takes a large portion of it. You know, that's not the right kind of guardianship, in my opinion. The right kind of guardianship is someone who's protecting that person and watching over them and making right decisions and you know, preserving what that person has. And, you know, unfortunately, there's the other side of it. So there's good guardianship where it's done right and it's done with good purpose. So I do think, after watching the trailer from this movie and reading these posts and that about it, and it was just brought to my attention recently, I think that guardianship maybe does need to be looked at a lot closer on all levels. And if a person's responsible for guardianship decisions and, you know, appointing someone a guardian, I hope that they would really, really look closely at making sure that they're doing the right thing for the person that is vulnerable, because people can be vulnerable, and guardianship is really something. And for some unscrupulous person to become a guardian of someone else, they can take that person's livelihood and, you know, have control over every aspect of their life. And so, yeah, so I do look forward to watching that movie. I know it's only a movie, but it's really based upon a real subject, and probably something that goes on maybe even more than what we really realize. And so I thought I would come on here and talk about that subject, since it's a subject I've never talked about before. And it seems like I've just talked about everything. But like I said, I'm not an expert in that area, but I thought I would share my thoughts about it, of what I've just recently come across through social media and through the little bit of Googling I've done and watching the trailer on that movie. So any thoughts on it, let me know. Okay, well, from my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.